think it's more prevalent than or relevant than ever. And it's how fast does your PC really need to be to meet your needs effectively. And I know, as a bit of background, I think you're in this boat as well, that, we grew up in an era where the mindset was try to get as powerful a machine as you can afford to get the
and
job
customize your machine as well, Ben.
Yes.
Customize your machine to optimize its performance.
Exactly right. That meant, popping the lid, swapping out cards, doing the whole
putting in extra RAM. I didn't get enough CPU. I'll just put in I'll double my RAM.
And I kind of miss those days in a way. It feels like I'm a mechanic that doesn't have his hands dirty anymore, because I used to be able to do all of that stuff. But in today's,
and the joy of adding your own external hard drive, into your tower. Where's that gone?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think is so amazing. It really is kind of a reflection of how amazing the technology is today, that these concerns are not even really something that you have to be conscious about, because effectively, maybe I'm more broadly speaking here, but you could probably, anything you say, if we stick with laptops, for instance, anything that's probably over $500-600 is probably going to satisfy the average user's needs. Now, the qualification is always, if you're doing something more high-end, and high-end typically falls in the range of video editing, 3D animation, or gaming, you're probably going to have to do a bit more research into, getting a system that actually delivers on what that needs to do. But for everything else, I just, like, you're pretty much really thinking about aesthetics and, whether or not the keyboard works well rather than anything else.
Well, it becomes important when, really what's inside the laptop doesn't matter that much anymore. And I think it's probably, we've spoken about this before, but you're right, it's been heading this way for a long time. And so, as in your experience, keyboards matter.
Exactly. And I think this is like an effect of the mobile device revolution, I guess, with smartphones, is that I think with the introduction of the iPhone and then everything that came out after it, in terms of not only just subsequent iPhones, but also Android phones and whatever else that has come out, you don't really hear about what's inside it. In terms of the chip, I mean, yes, Apple will, devote their 5 minutes in the presentation when they launch a new phone to say, "Oh, we've got the A15 or A14 chip, and it's 50% faster than the last one." But no one's really paying attention to it, because what they really care, because it just works so well and has been working so well for such a long time. And again, I'm using the iPhone as an example, but you can pick whatever smartphone you want on the mid to high range, that they all just work so well that you don't even think about it. All you're caring about is, does it take good photos? Can I read my email on it? If you do that, can I do messaging? And without it not, and making sure that it works properly, you're not thinking about the actual tech specs anymore. And I think that's kind of translated over to the PC and the Mac, I guess, for lack of a better term. You don't have to think about these things anymore.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing that did make me chuckle, because I hadn't really thought of it before, was when I was looking through that article on the basic specs that you need for a laptop, for instance. I thought, well, actually, my phone has those basic specs.
Yep.
It's got 3 gig of RAM, and it's about a 1.2 gigahertz processor. And I mean, obviously, it's a mobile device, so the processor isn't quite like a CPU you'd find in a laptop, but still, you think, well, yeah, and as you just pointed out, your phone really does everything your laptop does. It's just a format it's not as versatile. But you can edit on your phone. You can type out an essay on your phone if you want.
Wouldn't be a pleasant experience, but I guess you can. Can you imagine that, just hooking up a Bluetooth keyboard to your phone so you can bash something out? But you can.
I used to do it just using the on-screen keyboard. So.
Exactly. Just wanted to finally touch on one last thing. We were talking about Windows 11 in the last couple of weeks, and I did manage to install the Windows 11 ARM version on the M1 Mac. Apparently not officially supported because Parallels still hasn't released a version update that exactly targets Windows 11, but it works perfectly fine. I really do like it, but again, I guess it comes down to the fact that they have streamlined it in a way that makes it's still Windows. So don't get me wrong, it's still the Windows experience, but they're becoming very similar to each other. Like the whole center taskbar, the centered icons are a feature of other OSs. The more simplified menus and easy to find things. So it seems like they've taken an approach of, instead of having 100 different ways to do the same thing, they only have 10 now. They seem to have been really stripping a lot of that stuff out. So I think it's a positive step forward, but I'm just concerned that during the preview period, when they start getting, user feedback or whatever, that they start throwing all this stuff back in again.
There's always a temptation, isn't it? More features or less features, I think I wish actually they'd start from scratch again and then add them back in later versions. But, my guess is that the start button's still going to move back to the left. Give it 12 months.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, you've got the option to move it back to the left now anyway. So if you really like it.
There you go.